Hey, hey.
What is going on, everybody?
Hello.
Oh, what's it? Is that Jason?
That's Jason.
Jason Aaron
Pro. Rebranded.
It is. Hey, all right. Now leave a little bit for me. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, my bad.
I'm JasonAaron.pro. That's right. I rebranded to a URL. Type it in your browser. Go down the rabbit hole with me, won't you?
Oh.
That's it. That's all I got.
You've been practicing that. That's getting better every week.
I'm kind of got it rails.
It is. How many podcasts you got going on now?
Just started 11th. Soon to be Saturday. I start 12.
Oh,
sweet.
So, no big whoop. No big deal. That person who just asked me that question is Miranda.
Oh, hi.
Lower third on screen.
I'm the host of this show.
Yeah, kind of.
She's really more than this. She's really more than this show, though.
Hi.
And to her left,
that's
the
right.
viewers right,
Lovely,
is
amazingly
Joseph
awesome,
Kemp, professional.
Joseph Kemp.
I also changed to URL, but I didn't want to shorten the letters. I am Joseph Kemp, professional. It's like Jason Aaron Pro, but bigger.
Bigger.
Much bigger.
Here we go with the size difference. Bigger. Holy, he will mute Joe in a heartbeat. Oh. Just saying.
I will leave it at that.
So how have you guys been this last week?
Oh my gosh! I'll tell you what. I've been busy.
Insanely, stupidly busy.
The crazy, stupidest car problem that, I mean, it's not a huge, it's just a heater core, but for what I do, that is a lot. I had to take the dash off, steering wheel out, back for the front seats out, and the center. It was ridiculous just to get this little aluminum thing in there.
That was a whole situation. All right, yeah.
And had wrestling on top of it. So I was at Greenwood, the gathering place
wrestling on
for
top
the
of it?
I didn't wrestle with my kids.
He was
did.
there
like you were wrestling on top of the car.
Sure.
I don't get it.
So at the gathering place in Greenwood, they've is happening this weekend as well. The big wrestling event. It was a national turnout. We had 8 teams from 6 different states, I believe. It was a really great time, and it was awesome seeing the kids get together and do things, and it was awesome.
All positive. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah. So I do want to make sure everyone jumps out and subscribes, rate, review, leave a comment on the Monday Love podcast. We need subscribers on YouTube so we can go live on YouTube.
I have nothing else to say about that. I've said it every single week.
Time. You should be there. Done that.
Every week.
Yes.
Get to YouTube. I pity the fool.
Find the light, Joe.
So
I'm losing the other line. I keep forgetting that one back there.
You're not muted yet.
I will be.
It happens sometimes. Oops. Okay, so we actually have a guest tonight who is very near and dear to my heart. I just let the crew in on how near and dear he is to my heart. He actually presided over my grandmother's funeral.
That's what.
We met back in March. We both kind of have the same job. So it's awesome. But let me start just listing off a not short, ever, bio.
Oh,
so
here we go.
Studies faith and peace studies at Chicago Theology Seminary. President, founder of Urban Christian Leadership Institute. Founder and president at Soul America International Records.
Okay.
Editor-in-chief at Gregg L Greer's A Political America. Founder, director, CEO, Black America World News. Working on it, guys. Bear with me. Founder at Faith and Leadership Journal. Founder at One World Transatlantic Global Media.
That's enough.
Creator. Oh, no.
You're making me blush. That's enough, please.
Stop it. I bet I'm redder than you are. Founder at One World Transatlantic. Stop it.
He was trying to be nice. He said stop so you stop butchering the titles.
Oh my God. damn it.
I don't know. It's kind of entertaining.
Founder
He's
and
like,
director
"Please stop,
at
please-
Freedom Foundation of Global
stop."
Justice, president and founder at Freedom First International, radio show host, producer at One World Talks with Gregg L Greer, founder and managing director at American Academy of Recording Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now introduce to you Gregg L Greer.
Yeah.
Woo, that's a lot, right?
Right?
Okay,
That's
well,
amazing.
that's
Amazing,
that's all the
man.
time we have for tonight's
Right.
show. So thanks for tuning in.
It's over with, right?
Oh,
Oh man, look, we are.
so
I'm sorry.
welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, listen, I'm honored to be here with the M to the double J 2 times.
Yes.
J
Double
to the,
J.
J to the 2 powers. Okay,
There we
power
go.
2. All right.
Yes.
J square, yo.
Before we get too far in, do you have any shout outs, plugs, sponsors that you would
Well,
like to?
you know what? Here, let's do this because I mean, we wouldn't be who we are without great people who are standing with us. So let's just,
For sure.
You know, I like to shout out to the Monday Love podcast and the whole crew. Hey, look, I tell you what, you guys are doing some excellent work down here, and I really, really appreciate it. And I am telling y'all, if y'all haven't been down or been on the podcast, it's what's up. It's what's up. And I personally, me myself, because I am a radio person and I'm a journalist. If you saw that, I don't know if you saw that, Joe,
I
but
did.
so I mean, I tell you what, I say broadcast because it's a broadcast, but you know, hey, you say what you say, but I think it's
Sometimes
it's upscale.
it's a vodcast, video podcast.
No, I like that now.
Yeah,
That's kinda hip.
vodcast.
That's-
Yeah.
Did
That's
you
kinda hip.
market that, Jason? I'm sure the dollar
Did you
sign just
trademark
went.
that shit? Vodcast.
It's an actual term, and it does represent what I do here because I
See,
have
like
Is it
20-some
copywritten?
years
I'm
of
gonna-
video
I'm gonna look
experience.
it up.
So,
I
of course,
am-
there's going to be a heavy visual experience
That's
with
what's
these. It's
up.
not just
Like-
audio. It's
like-
a lot of video. I got
like
cameras
a-
everywhere, robot cameras
So,
doing stuff.
yeah, pushing buttons, making sure zooming
Makes me
in.
nervous,
like,
Jason.
Yeah.
Well, that goes with the same
So-
like DJ VJ thing, right?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
KJ.
Oh,
I just want to add another.
Oh, another letter.
just another acronym. Holy hell. Okay, so first and foremost, I do want it to be acknowledged you are a bishop.
That's right. That's right.
When did you have that calling?
Well, the calling has been on me all of my entire life, and I've known it. I mean, but at one point I ran from it for a long time. I was out there in the clubs partying and all of that, and the party life was good. And I mean,
Ooh,
you know,
a little bit of insight of that.
hey, we won't.
Just prior
we gonna
to.
keep. Didn't I say we were gonna
Prior
keep
to-
it G-rated, PG
No,
rated?
we can't. Prior to.
That's the wrong kind of letter.
Yes,
PG-13,
no,
let's go.
We were trying to.
prior to the calling, who all did you get to party and kick it with when you were in California?
I was in Cali kicking it with a lot of different. I'm a sound engineer.
Yes.
And I started off in the music industry, and I was out and I was doing independent production. I was trying to be like the Dr. Dread, or, you know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, actually, I did go out and I hung out in the studio with NWA one time. Listen. I'm gonna tell you. Can I tell y'all the story?
I need
Y'all want to hear the
backstory.
story?
Yes, I want the
Okay,
story.
so let me tell y'all the story. Okay, so I went down to the studio. Donovan Sound, the guy who owned the studio was named Donovan Sound. Donovan Smith is his name. The studio was Donovan Sound, and that's why if you ever seen the NWA movie,
Yes.
this is the studio where they got jacked up by the police on the outside. So this is
Yes.
the guy who was recording them, and that was in Torrance, California. So I was actually down there, and I was living on and off down there. If that makes sense. Just keep it
Yes.
short. So I went down I called Donovan. I'm like, Donovan, you know, you got to let me come out and hang out with the guys, right? So he was like, hey, man, come on. I was like, oh, that was too easy. So I'm like, look, I said, what time are they going to be there? I'm like, dude, you know, is it okay for real? He was like, yeah, come on down. So listen, I got down there. I went inside them doors, and it was big. 3 or 4 big 7-foot dudes. I mean, like Suge Knight plus 3. And I'm like, look, he was like, come on in, dog. I was like, no, that's all right. I was like, you know what? I might come back because I see y'all working really hard tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and exit
Right,
stage left.
right.
No, I'm serious. It was it didn't even look good. I'm like, you know what? Let me
Got that feeling.
I saw the danger. I'm for real. I'm for real. It was just that kind of scene. So
Wow.
I'm a smart dude. I'm from Chicago, okay? So I know
Right.
danger when I see it.
Yep.
Yeah. For
Completely
sure.
respect that. Absolutely. Okay, so sorry, back to the
Hey, man.
original. You had the calling after this.
So the calling has been on me all my life, and basically, when it comes to faith, just the more specific of it, you know, some of us choose to run from it, right? Am I right, sir? And we choose to run from it. Some of us know we have it. A lot of times we know we have it, but it's what we choose to do with it. And I chose to run from it because I was too busy in the clubs, living life. And I said, look, I'm not ready to submit. And then I knew what kind of dedication living a life of faith takes. And I just didn't want to play games with it. So I was humbled through submission, through different circumstances in my life to make me submit.
Okay.
But I mean, if it were me, personally, me as who I am as a man, I mean, the club life and being in the entertainment scene, I mean, I had to give up a certain amount of that to transition into where I'm at today.
Gotcha. And then prior to that, aside from who you named, you had kicked it with some pretty big names in Chicago and California.
Well, I started off in working out of the studios. I worked out of Hollywood recording studios, Hollywood on Sunset Sound, and I mean, I was meeting everybody, Belle Biv DeVoe, and you know, a lot of the rappers, and I mean, just some of everybody in the industry. And I mean, I was a regular on the club scene. I would go into the Hollywood Palladium, and I had a VIP card and everything. I didn't have no money, but I was fronting like I had money.
You had that card.
You know what I'm saying? And look, I had that VIP interest card, and I was up there, you know, hanging out with Wesley Snipes and all these different people. You know what I mean? But
so
I mean,
cool.
you know, that's how Hollywood is. You know, everybody goes down there, and you know, it's a big game. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
You just on the scene.
We've talked quite a few times and spoke quite a few times on Smoke and Mirrors.
Okay.
If you ain't there,
Smoke and mirrors.
you make it till you are.
Make it till you fake it.
There we go. I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Right.
So absolutely. But you were a regular. So, you know, the people there knew your face and your name and what have you.
I didn't have to wait in line at the Palladium and some of the other clubs that were hot at that point. I would just go right in the front door. Oh yeah, come on, you know, and it was good, you know. And I mean, I even looked the part, you know. I was Armani suits on and all of that. I mean, I probably had about $20 in my pocket, but you know,
But you looked the
and I
part,
might have
that's
been,
all.
and I might have had a wine glass, but it had water in it, okay, and some ice.
You know, shit, it happens, man.
Hey, that's that life, though, right? People try to make it in that industry. It's so rough, and you know when you go
It
down,
really is.
when you go down to
Especially
Hollywood, you see a lot of homeless folks. You know, a lot of those people are entertainers. You know,
Yes, they
up and
went
down
there
Venice
to be.
Beach. They went there to be actors
They went there to
and
be
entertainers,
absolutely,
and I mean, you
and
know,
then it's just.
And then they may turn one wrong corner, and you know the drugs hit and all. I mean, I'll tell you, it's hundreds of stories out there like that.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's a ugly,
So,
ugly industry nowadays.
yeah, it is. It is. Joe.
So, founder and managing director at American Academy of Recording Arts. Do tell. Explain.
So what I came down to Indianapolis to do, and I mean, here, just real quick. So we got a lot of good people, and the young man who's with me, Joseph Pusley, has been with me through a lot of different fractions of what we're doing and building. So Freedom First International, and then so what?
There he is.
There he is, right there in the shadows.
See that guy in the
There he
shadows?
is. Yep.
Yo,
Wave,
yo,
hi.
yo, and
It's up here. The camera's up here. Wave to that one.
There we go. Hey.
And I tell you what, he's a young man who, you know, was really like in the social justice, civil rights movement down in Chicago, and really fighting like gang violence and the shooting violence and all of that. So he belonged to an organization called Action Now, which was an organization that came from Acorn. And a little bit about Acorn.
Okay.
This was the organization that helped President Obama get elected. And because it was a non-for-profit, they weren't supposed to be doing political work. So the government went in and shut them down, and it became Action Now. So he comes from like that whole thing.
Okay.
Been on the front lines with he's a minister, but he's been on the front lines with Chicago violence, and I mean we've had a lot of different things. So,
wow, that's awesome, man.
The way that the entertainment thing came about is I learned that in order to make your voice heard, you have to understand how to do it.
Right.
And because I come from an entertainment journalism background, I use that in the non-for-profit world in order to push this organization forward. And Freedom First International has become. I'm gonna pause right there.
No, I was gonna, because that's one of the questions that I want to make sure is out there.
Okay.
So Freedom First International is your baby, and it came from.
Well, it came from basically work starting off with the ACLU as a student activist, and we were campaigning and fighting against the death penalty in college, and we took that and. Few years later, I mean, I was working on my bachelor's in criminal justice, but I never wanted to be a cop. Never wanted, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't want to wear. I was already in the military. I was wearing like uniforms. I said I didn't want to wear that polyester uniform. I didn't want to do it.
Right.
Right. So I decided that I wanted to just figure on something else, and it just happened through attrition. But I used like a lot of the criminal justice education with the entertainment, and I built Freedom First International. Started off as a student activist with the ACLU, and then I went to an organization called the SCLC, which was the organization that was founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I became a prominent member of the SCLC, and in that early phase, I went around the country and started fighting for civil rights causes.
That's awesome. That's like hands down.
Yeah. I mean,
hands down awesome.
I even worked with the family of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His sons, his nieces, his sister, just working with them while I was at the SCLC.
Okay, so then from there, let's fast forward to I came in late. Whatever.
Fast forwarded.
I came.
That's a fast forward sound effect.
I came
Paid
in
good money
late
for that
to the. You got that button, don't you? I came in really late to the Rice case. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that situation?
Well, the Rice case was the Tamir Rice case. So at Freedom First International, we had the opportunity, and Minister Pugsley would tell you, to have probably the biggest civil rights case within the last 10 years in America. So Tamir Rice was a case of a 12-year-old who was shot down in Cleveland, Ohio by 2 police officers while he was playing with it was a toy gun.
It was a toy gun.
But somebody reported it to be a real gun. Mm-hmm. And he was in a park. He was a 12-year-old child in the middle of a park. And basically 2 officers from Cleveland PD came.
They happened to be Caucasian, saying.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing.
I'm just saying. It's okay. Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Because here's the thing. We get lost in a lot of that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we've tried to do when we fought around the country is we talked about injustice and human rights violations, and we took, even though that is always going to be the relevant, but people get lost into that. Let's talk about this was a human life, absolutely. A young child's life that was taken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yes, absolutely. Completely agree. I just want to make sure that the whole truth is being played out.
And it's relevant.
Because he was a child playing on a playground.
Yes.
And I heard the police report. Okay, it was a white male that called in the 911 call, correct?
It was an older gentleman. I'm not sure I believe it was an older white gentleman. Mm-hmm. And Tamir was actually pointing a toy gun. I mean, this is a child.
It was a replica. It was a toy replica.
So he's, he was a taller kid. So, but he's in the middle of a park by himself.
Yes.
This is an actual park. Mm-hmm. So what happens is,
and there is video out there. If you guys want to look it up, there's video
out there. The Crudell Park where the incident happened, there was a video camera on the park and that sort of thing. So anyway, the officers, Timothy Lohman and Frank Gramback came, and I mean Dukes of Hazzard style, over the mediums. They went over the mediums. They actually skid all the way through, going 20 miles an hour into the park, right alongside of the swing. The car came to a stop, and within 3 seconds, they put multiple rounds in this child's body, and he died on the scene.
Yes, he did.
God.
Yeah. It was a whole fucked up situation.
And,
Sorry.
Immediately,
But it was.
Immediately, what happens in these cases is they refuse to. They went quiet. They wouldn't participate in the investigation. These are police officers. They said, "Well, we're not going to testify. We're not going to even give a report against ourselves."
Mm-hmm.
So there was an FBI officer in the area, and he's the one. He's the one who.
Herbs?
He's the one.
Really?
That was probably my fault.
That was Renee's computer.
That
over
was
in the
probably
corner.
my fault. That was my fault.
Did you
It was
My
just
funnier
fault.
the other way.
I will own it. It's my fault. My
See that,
bad.
Joe?
Yeah,
Dang it.
totally my fault. But you and her went all the way to wasn't it the Supreme Court?
Well,
or?
no, I wanted to take it to the Supreme Court. So what happened was there was a prominent black attorney who was on a lot of these cases, Trayvon. And I mean, I feel bad about it now, but we fired him. His name is Benjamin Crump.
Okay.
So we fired him off the case, and we had this law firm from New York. I can't even think of their names, but I through an attorney friend of mine who was working with me in Chicago, great guy, Billy Joe Mills, right? He found for the family. He found a law firm out of New York, and we worked with the law firm, brought those guys in, and I have a very negative feelings about that particular law firm. And what's happening with a lot of these cases is these attorneys come in and they really, because there's litigation on the line, civil litigation, meaning there's millions of dollars on the
Right.
line. They don't really fight in criminal prosecution mode, but they fight in civil litigation mode, meaning that they're there for the money, but
Right.
they're not there to prosecute the
Right.
injustice.
Gotcha.
I got you.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
That makes it so much more clear.
That's why a lot of these cases fall through the cracks because, a lot of times they will settle with the families. And once they settle, then, everything's over. It's a wrap.
Absolutely.
wrap
It's
off the
it's
table.
and probably NDA and silenced and everything like that.
That's right. That's right.
So then let me ask you about being a radio show host and producer at One World Talks.
Yeah. So I started blogging in 2008, and it was right around the time where I was still prior to the university. I think I was at the university in 2004, just time frame. To give or take, 2003, 2004, I was at the university. So I started writing for the newspaper, and then blogging became real big at that time. It was like new, People were like doing really big things with blogging. I mean, there was a blogger who made, who broke open the Iran-Contra. There was a blogger. So I mean, all of this stuff came from blogging.
Okay.
Some of the biggest, the Draham Report is what I was referencing. And if you look up the Draham Report, it's a right-wing type of blog, but it was started by an individual, and that thing has thousands of followers even to this day. And if you look at it now, it looks really draconian. It's like a black and white type of, how like the old internet
school.
look. Yeah, old school internet. It still has that look because they keep it. But I mean, this guy has, and he does a lot of great work. So I decided, I'm like, I need to do something like the Draham Report because our social justice work, we need a voice and we need a following, and we can develop a internal following without having to call CNN and all of that and all that. So,
Yes.
so I started blogging with about 9 family members, and then that thing became like 10 members, and then within a year we had about 300 people, and then that 300 people became 10,000 people, and that 10,000 people became 50,000 people,
Right.
and 60,000 people. So probably right now, just on the merit, I probably have about 70,000 followers from like the multimedia that I do.
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
country.
And you're on like all social media platforms.
Well, not even just social media.
Right. And I do want to say,
You're going there. I
make sure you throw out your social media.
Okay, so my social media is One World Talks, which we started branching that out. One World Talks in Apolitical America, because the reason why I started Apolitical America is because I wanted to do something that was not political. You said, you know, apolitical, meaning there's a version of people who really are tired of politics, tired of the different slants and all of that. So that's why I said we're talking Apolitical America. So the stories that I write about either piss you off or they make you laugh.
Right.
One of the two. You know what I mean? Like the different stories that I choose. But so the blogging, I just wanted to say the blogging, I mean, it became so large that I sent some of my writing to Ariana Huffington, and she actually put me on the Huffington Post. So I became a contributor to the Huffington Post.
Yes, you have contributed to the Huffington Post, the Chicago Reader, Change.org, the Star Press, Blog Talk Radio, and it just keeps going on.
CNN iReports. I've written, I had a column on CNN iReports, Daily Calls. I've written stuff and commentary on MSNBC, on MSNBC Online. I've been on a number of different programs just around the country, news, TV, and social media.
Yep. I mean, that's huge because you have so many oars in the water, and everything is getting covered. So you must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we do social justice movement, I mean, we get all the media. We don't miss a cue. I mean, you know very well.
Yeah.
Am I jumping ahead of you? Can I say
No,
it?
you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
So we did even the first thing that I did when I moved down here to Indy was and Jay Fizzo was there. Ain't that right, Jason?
Yeah.
That's right.
He was the guru behind the scenes, doing a lot of good work. I still didn't get that video, Jason, but that's okay. Anyway.
Jason.
So
5 hours worth of video.
So we did a 4th of July event, and it was basically just to kind of say that, you know, people's human rights are being violated, and we wanted to highlight right.
Yeah,
usually.
and we were highlighting one, and then we ended up running into a whole nother situation.
Right,
yes,
right.
yes.
So we had about 30 people at the circle, and every last press organization was down there that was invited. They came down and they covered it, and it was all over the place. And you know, it was a good welcoming to Indy, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely. So can you define what all falls underneath One Transatlantic Global Media?
So One World Transatlantic Global Media was, so the blog that I started way back in the day was called One World. And the reason why I call it One World is it's faith, politics, and people. And those were the things that I wrote about. So, and I pretty much wanted to cover all of that, and I just called it One World because it's all of that. And that's been kind of like the banner that's really started. It's the foundation of everything that I do. So One World became a radio station called The Owl, One World Live. And then I said, well, you know, we need to branch this off and break it off. And One World Talks was the radio program. So it's pretty much just kind of like the bottom of where everything came from. So everything is kind of like a branch off of One World, except for Freedom First International, which is just
it's
a
its
non-for-profit. Yeah, it's just its own thing.
Right. And if you do want to go into more detail, because there's, like I said, there's so many different oars that you have right now in the water.
Yeah, and I didn't do this to try to put myself on a platform or like keep up with the Joneses. I mean, you know, like one thing that we've tried to do, and you know, this is not an indictment to anybody else. And this man would tell you, right? This young man would tell you, you know, I mean, I've been invited down to hang out with Jesse Jackson and them and all of this, and you know, maybe some things with Reverend Sharpton. I just didn't want to do those types of things because we wanted to kind of stay away from that, and we wanted to focus on people's rights being violated. We didn't want to get into the civil rights piece, and you know, we're not downplaying that, but it became something else, like a payroll for somebody, and we wanted to focus on human rights violations, and that's why Freedom First has grown, because we kind of stayed away from a lot of the controversial aspects of civil rights.
Right, and even when we were doing the July 4th thing, you made it very clear it's not about the movement or organization of Black Lives Matter.
Right. We are for we're for black rights. I mean, obviously, I'm
Yes.
a black man.
Correct.
You know,
Right.
and black people are oppressed all around the world and even in this country. We took a note from the SCLC. Those are the folks who trained me. These are some of the generals who stood with Dr. King on the front line, like one of my mentors, and he can tell you he was down with me when I went down to the SCLC and in conversations a few times. And I mean, these are guys who were working with Dr. King on the front lines, and they trained me. And I'm going to say this: it's really about fighting for the oppressed, and oppressed come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and you can look around the world. So we have to strategize our struggle. I mean, obviously there's rights and things that are being violated in every community. You can go into even some of the communities in West Virginia, and you have poor white folks in trailer camps.
Yep.
You know, the coal miners down in West Virginia who Trump went down to, and he lied. I'm gonna say that if
Yep.
you know, this is not an offense to anybody. I don't want to be controversial and offend anybody, but I have to tell the truth.
Yep.
You know, people from all communities are oppressed.
Yes.
And that's who we stand for. We want to fight for the oppressed worldwide.
And you have plenty of faculty, lawyers, paralegals that are all backing you up
Right.
with this whole movement.
Right.
And all it takes is just the right media source.
And the fact
know,
that we
and
need a movement for us to focus on human rights. I mean, like that should you would think that, you know, it's 2020 and we have, you know, this is still at hand. We are like with being able to educate ourselves beyond any mean, like you could look up anything, and the way that society and people and how it's boggling that we have to have a movement to go human rights.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just.
Well, you know, and there's good organizations that are doing good work, but, you know, we don't really capitalize on those. Like the current term that you see when it comes to even people getting shot in our community, Black Lives Matters. But people have to understand that Black Lives Matters is an umbrella term for multiple people who come and they help out. It's not an organization per se. Now, there is an organization that's organically Black Lives Matters.
Correct, yes.
You know, like I even worked with Alicia Garza, who was one of the founders of Black Lives Matters. We took her to the United Nations with Samaria Rice and John Crawford and flew her down, and we had one of the biggest events at the United Nations, which we organized, probably about 900 people. And, I mean, you should be beside me when I've actually explained to folks, we're not Black Lives Matters.
Yes, I did.
I'm not that organization, but we stand for the rights of the oppressed. I do want to be clear that, again, when we fight, like we fought, Joseph Pusley will tell you in Chicago, probably over the course of the last 10 years, there were Black women who were being murdered by what we believe to be a potential serial killer. And we fought against the police because the police have turned their eye to that. The chief of police even told me face to face, right, that, you know, basically there's no serial killer, but we had bodies of women who were being found, strangled, dumped in dumpsters, and in a lot of these cases, they were set on fire. The whole dumpsters were set on fire with their bodies in them, and these are multiple cases, and he's telling us that there's no serial killer. So there was an organization by a gentleman who was a journalist as well by the name of Tom Hargrove, who actually looked at the findings, and he said, well, this has the pattern of a serial killer. So I said, well, look, now you have another organization saying what we said. So we went down and we challenged the Chicago police, and this was all over. You can Google it. It was YouTube came down, Yahoo News came down, BET came down, The Guardian. I mean, it was all over the international and national media. I mean, I even saw it probably in Russia. They were writing about it. These women were being murdered, and it's still going on to this day. Their bodies are being found in parking lots.
We're still sitting there and nobody...
And what we told the mayor and the chief of police is we said, hey, we know that there is, we know that you guys don't want to say that there's a serial killer. We understand that you want to, because of your, you don't want to mess up the tourism industry in Chicago.
Exactly.
But we also want you to know that there is a body count of young ladies who are being found and they're being murdered every day. and you need to
And
say
in the
something. You need to put
the
out public
same-
safety announcements
Right.
or something.
What's the numbers looking like with that same kind of?
I mean, with the
MO?
same MO, right now we have probably about 75 and counting, but it's 55 plus. Yeah, they've been strangled.
So worse
They've
than
been,
Green
their
River,
bodies, listen,
worse than
who
Dahmer,
sets
worse
bodies?
than-
Does a normal? Who sets bodies on fire after you've been strangled? Come on now.
No, that's a
Come
whole
on.
nother
And you
level.
find these bodies in-
That
in
goes
dumps
right
like
back
this.
to the perfect triangle: wet in the bed, being mean to animals, killing animals.
Oh, man.
And being like, man, there is a track record.
Yeah.
Somebody knows, and they're not coming forward.
A lot of these areas are tragic. They're oppressed. They're, and again, this is not just black. These are Latino people. These are poor
It is
white people.
underprivileged.
And guess
the
what?
color does not matter.
And even
it
some
goes
of the
back to
Latino people,
underprivileged.
the Latino people who are hunted against, a lot of them don't want to go to the police. You know
They
why,
won't.
right?
They won't.
Because INS, because in immigration, they don't want to be deported or anything, which is what's going on.
Exactly.
So these are the perfect people who are being
The
preyed
perfect
upon.
victims to be
You know what
preyed
I'm saying?
upon.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for our
Yeah.
listeners, make sure you go rate, review,
Subscribe, leave a comment.
leave a comment.
Yep.
Make sure to hit on all of Gregg's social media. I'm
Yes.
usually full of all kind of silly jokes and stuff, but I am so
this
into
is-
our conversation
yeah.
today. So please listen up and do whatever you can to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Share, rate, review, leave a comment, jump over to YouTube, make sure you subscribe, and keep following, guys, because you never know. The picture on my public profile is actually of you and I standing on the circle being interviewed by Channel 8, I believe.
Okay. All right.
That was back on July 4th.
Okay.
And then just the other day, we had an actual presidential running candidate. He's on the bill in 30 different states. He's a write-in for Indiana, but maybe it takes
38 different states. And I think
38.
he's on the ballot in 38 different states, and then 17 he's a write-in candidate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And listening to what he had to say, like it's a sobering reality check. It really is. It's not just left. It's not just right. It's a perfect combination of wake the fuck up, America.
First of all, you already burnt your one F word.
That was my one F
to get
word.
us into the PG-13 rating.
Man,
so.
we gotta go to R now, Jay. We gotta go to R now.
Sorry.
My
Can't
bad.
take her nowhere.
I ever. Okay, so you are Soul America International Records founder and president.
Right. So, it's a lot. I know it's a lot. So here's one thing that I don't so I don't
all right.
talk about a lot. So basically,
I know I'm pulling shit out
I know
of you.
she wants me to say this, so I'm gonna say it. Should I go? So basically, going back to my college days, so I worked in the studio. The owner was named Reed Himes. He was a professor at Columbia College in Chicago, and he was a professor of mine. So I went and interned at his studio, and I ended up working at this Chicago Tracks, which basically the upstairs was a studio called the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
And the Chocolate Factory is
That's
owned
well
by
known. That's well known.
Mr. R. Kelly.
Yes.
So the stories about the young girls and everything, man, I saw probably hundreds of 13-year-olds. I'm like, dude, you can't be serious, man.
Yeah, no. And on the flip side of that, to
Hey,
be
listen.
fair, okay, R. Kelly might be a POS pervert, but that's not going to change the feelings that I had in the 90s or the memories that I had in the late 90s or early 2000s.
There's something wrong with the little bump and grind now.
Well,
There's
but
something
at
wrong
the
with a
same
little bump and
time,
grind.
but it's
Don't
just
go
like
ahead.
with a smell
I
or a
love R.
sound,
Kelly,
you go
but
back
it is all
to.
messed up.
You go back to that time.
Joe, look.
Look at Joe.
And he got on a Chicago hat. Come
yes,
on, y'all.
he is.
Come on, y'all
All
can't do it.
hers.
Look, Chicago, y'all see what Joe was doing? Now let me say this. Here's this, and I want to bring this. I want to bring this down to a level of. So he's a very troubled individual.
Yep. Agreed.
And, molested as a young boy, and that's what's known now. Through the documentaries and all of that.
Right.
a lot of these entertainers. I'm gonna be honest with you. So they have money, and they have millions and billions, and they have entourages and all of this. They don't have psychologists, yo.
They don't. They don't keep them on retainer.
Therapy.
Yeah, they don't.
And you know what? If they had that,
counseling,
they might be all right. That's what they need. They need a psychologist on staff, on call.
Yes.
But at some point, I think once you get so high, you get so kind of separated from what reality.
Well, you know what?
Because if you watch R. Kelly's documentary, you just go a couple different channels and you're looking at Michael Jackson's documentary.
But Joe,
you're right. And
why?
That's right.
But let me tell you something. It's a lot of them people though, for real, really. A lot of these folks, like the celebrities themselves, a lot of them are kind of like cool, but you know who really makes a lot of the big to-do about nothing and make it real crazy? The entourages. Man, the entourages.
Yeah, because they have to help cover
and y'all
up
know
shit.
That, right?
Yeah, they have
it's
to help
the
buffer.
entourages
They're
who really keep up a
buffering.
lot of mess. Messy is all good. You feel me?
Unfortunately, drama sells.
Yes.
So when they mess some shit up, it sells.
Yeah.
So if they can,
even with Tupac, look, Tupac was a smart guy. He was actually a nerd, right, to a greater or lesser degree. But when he got around a certain element, it changed him. And even to his detriment, even when he got with Death Row, with Suge in them, Suge Knight in them, it changed his whole psyche. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we've all seen the videos where they were at the Mike Tyson fight, and these guys, after the fight, they started another fight out in the lobby.
I was watching that fight.
I actually watched. I actually watched a recording of a brother of one of the security guards. He was at another club, so he knew when they rolled up who was rolling up, and he said flat out, Suge effed up all the way because. Yeah. Pac, he grew up in the streets, but he wasn't ghetto. He wasn't thug. Yeah. And he tried to jump into that lifestyle, and he should not have intervened and put himself in that position. Yeah.
So we had two friends who were with Death Row at that point in time. Guy by the name of Frank Alexander. He became Tupac's personal bodyguard. When he was hanging out with us, he wasn't that just yet, but he came to me. He was like, "Man, I want to get into music with you." And I was like, "Dude," all right, if that's what you want to do. So going out, and he was hanging out with me at the clubs, at the Palladium. He actually took me to James Cleveland's house, and I met James Cleveland's son, and James Cleveland's son, grandson, Andre, used to rent out the Palladium on like Thursday nights and do a party. So that's how like this whole thing, and these are like gospel people. James Cleveland, big gospel.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, his son was like having one of the biggest parties in Hollywood on Thursday nights, and we would go there, and all the celebrities would come. So Frank took me over there and introduced me, and we all started mixing up, and that's probably how he got with Death Row. Right. And like, this was after I left. I went back to Chicago because I really got burnt out with all that. It was a lot of superficialness. It was a lot of stuff I didn't, and plus I didn't have the money to keep it up either. I couldn't, and that was probably the main reason why I came back. So I was like, look, I hadn't been at home in about 8, 9, 10 years at that point. So I came back to Chicago, and that's when I started getting into Columbia College in the arts and music scene down in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, just running through real quick some of the comments. It says, "What's up, everyone?" Austin Isaac subbed to this YouTube. Let's see.
Shout out to Austin. Actually, I kind of asked him to help out, do some hashtags and stuff on recent podcasts. So it's kind of a new thing. So he's kind of helping on the back end. So thank you, Austin, for your help.
All right, Austin. Heck yeah.
Way to go, Austin.
There we go. Let's see. Celebrate review. Thank you, Austin. Make sure you throw that out there. Monday Love. There is a lot of hashtags. Stacy Humberger Carl. She actually has a few daughters that have they're on the spectrum. So it's awesome that she is tuning in. But, so let's just get a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole.
Here we go.
Oh, sure. Here we go.
You holding on to your chair?
Wow.
Let's-
2 references to the
let's-
rabbit hole in this episode.
Yeah. Let's just, let's
are
just
we
go.
sponsored by Matrix or?
You know, it happens.
A little bit of kickback.
Take the blue pill.
So you actually have a documentary on Amazon.
Yeah. It's called The Chicago Way.
Yes. And
God, you keep making my to-do list big, man.
I know, I told you.
The Chicago Way.
Yeah. The
Yes.
Chicago.
So guys, make sure you jump over there on Amazon.
He's in it too.
Give a brief rundown.
So we again, this is just a matter of like breaking out and just kind of like really having our voices heard. So we started working on a documentary about the Chicago violence because again, a lot of the undertones of it wasn't really being picked up. I mean, when you hear about Chicago, you hear about the guns and the bullets flaring and all that, but you don't really hear about the real specifics. So we started working on a documentary on some of the most violent years of Chicago violence in the last decade, which was like 14, 15, and 16. And we went through a lot of the different things, like the governor of Illinois. We ran him from the south side of Chicago. We told him, no, come on the south side of Chicago, and we called him on the south side of Chicago. So we put about 30 people outside of a church on a Sunday. We're like, what the heck you doing in the church here? So we had 30 protesters, and we started like playing music, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't go there. So let me just keep this. Let me just say
you
this.
don't have to.
So we
Go
took
ahead.
the reason why is I kind of feel kind of bad because it was a church, but we tried to
Was you
actually go
outside the church? Was you outside the church?
We were outside the church and had about 30 protesters in a group of us. So we called that protest because we feel like the governor of Illinois should not have been in the church on the south side of Chicago. You took the rights away from the people. And why are you even coming down to the south side of Chicago when you don't care about the people down there?
To save
and
face.
he's up in Ivory Tower in Wilmette, which is like probably Carmel or Carmel Plus here.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so, I mean, and it's like, there's really no connection. He started taking rights away from the seniors when he first got in. He started taking child care initiatives, which is the daycare program. He started taking all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's on the documentary. We started talking about a lot of these things that you don't see on prime time. And the documentary was my first documentary. We produced it. And it was previewed at the Cisco and Ebert Film Festival.
That's awesome.
And we had probably about 700 people on 2 nights, and it won an award.
Hey, Jason,
That's
I sent
awesome.
you that link to.
That is
It's on the
awesome.
Miranda
Awesome.
Article communication. If you wanted to put that up.
I mean, if we really wanted and like 2 rules of mine, we don't talk about politics or religion.
Yeah.
We've kind of crossed
You
both
know
them
what?
fucking
I mean,
borders.
it's hard
Get with
not
that
to,
just
right?
talk.
There's 3.
There's 3. I know. So if
Okay,
we want
let's-
to get real,
Right.
since you're a transplant to Indiana, Mike Pence's war chest came off the back of our children when he started making sure that you had to pay for busing for your children to go to school. So we can get really deep.
Can we watch the trailer on this? The Chicago Way? Is that cool? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Greg, is that cool?
Did you get that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason,
for sure.
Is that cool? All right.
A little
hold
bit embarrassing,
All right.
but go ahead, man.
on. Let me-
Donald Washington was director.
Do you realize since January 1st of this year, the Chicago police has recovered 1 gun of every hour of this year?
Man, we got to definitely talk after. Oh, for sure.
Why me? Never thought this would be me.
But there's reason for hope.
We got to be about this change. How many children have to die before we come out these houses and decide we're going to change this shit? Not stop in our actions to shut this government down. Our children are dying. Our people are dying.
Out of Rahm Emanuel and politics as usual in Chicago. The city is bleeding poor and working class people every day.
He was my only one, baby. We supposed to sit here. My child don't bury her. She supposed to bury me. Me.
Two ladies drove me to the scene, and my child was laying on the ground, covered up with a sheet.
So I completely encourage everyone to go and watch that. It is definitely an eye-opener and a mind-blown type of situation.
I got Amazon Prime. I'm going to put that on my list.
So you're a huge presence on the streets in Chicago. Why move to Indiana?
So what it is that we came because we wanted to really focus on the bringing the voice piece. I mean, there's 100 organizations, non-for-profits, and NGOs out there who are doing social justice work. But, you know, if we're going to grow, we can't just be stuck into that mode. I mean, I can't be Operation Push or National Action Network, or we can't be, you know, we got to be bigger than that in order to keep our voices heard. Like now we're doing documentaries. Pretty soon we'll be doing feature films, and we're actually working on movie scripts and looking at different directors. Like I brung Don in, and I trained him on how to direct documentaries from Governor State University. He was a university
Fresh out.
Yeah, this was both our first effort.
Yeah,
you know?
fresh out the gate.
And I mean, it won an award from Cisco to Ebert Film Festival.
That's
one of the
huge.
most prominent.
That's huge.
You know? And they actually wanted us to show the damn thing at the film festival, so we did. And I didn't expect it to have the end result. I mean, you could look at the newspaper articles, and I mean, it was a great night for us, right? So, make a long story short, I mean, we're going into feature films. We came down here to build a recording and arts academy, and right downtown, we actually have a broadcast room, which we're doing. Not probably as good as this one, but no, I'm sorry. Let's say we hope to live up to this.
Working towards.
You know the air compressor's outside. If you really want to blow his head up, he has a little spout that's just it was installed after he turned to pro.
Sometimes.
Jason Aaron Pro, it came with the air compressor. So
I love it here. So let me just say this as somebody who's actually a sound engineer. Entertainment is really what I've done, but I think that like with music and movies and entertainment, if you go back throughout our history of social justice, the movement has always been enlarged when it's met with a lot of actors, a lot of entertainers, and they come together and they work hand in hand.
Yes.
So we got to capitalize and just push that.
So you're saying you're going to go into the motion picture industry. I mean, what's the film? I mean, not saying we want the sneak peek, but I mean, pushing what you're doing, and you know, what does that look like?
Well, like we're working on a script now called you know what, I'm not a professional person, probably we don't talk about script, but one of the scripts I'm saying, because I'm not a professional,
I got
it's called Rise of the Phoenix, and Rise of the Phoenix is really like a superhero movie.
Okay.
But I mean, with special effects and all that stuff is really, you know, you're a graphics person, so you know,
for sure.
After Effects and all of that, so you know, you really
you're speaking
you better
watch it, man. There ain't no drinks needed, man.
So you got to really put a lot into that. I mean, and then we're looking at a lot of different biopics. I really wanted to do a story about a singer by the name of Donny Hathaway from Chicago, and this is the guy who Stevie Wonder emulated and really took a lot of his, you know, and we actually.
Is this also Motown?
No. This was actually pre-Motown. This might have been more coming like Chicago. There was Chess Records, which was bigger than Motown.
Yeah,
you know, really Chess was probably different genre, but it was maybe actually has been bigger than Motown. Etta James, Howlin' Wolf, so on and so forth. So that's Chess, but. So this is like Chicago soul, and he was discovered in a whole nother genre. But also we had did a couple of things with like Sam Cooke's daughter. Sam, the Cook family, and we were interested in looking at some things, but I kind of want to leave the Cook legacy alone. So we're just entertaining different ideas as far as biopics, and we really want to tell about the underdog and stories of folks who haven't been told.
And that's why he and I link up so well together.
Yes.
Because it's all, aside from you, it's all my viewers watching.
Yeah.
Would you like to even dabble into the projects that you and I are working on together?
Yeah, so we're building a future one, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what you specifically mean? So future one is more of a broadcasting solution. It's gonna just involve more training because we want to train people for just arts and entertainment and public speaking and all of that. These are things that I've learned, and if I had someone on the way, probably I'm sure you'd be the same way, Joe, to kind of help you through and kind of mentor you. I might have been a lot further than what I am right now, but I learned through attrition and which is a good way to go. Yeah. But I mean, I'm 40 plus. Maybe if I had a great mentor when it came to entertainment, even though I had some pretty good people around me, but if I had somebody who really told me, look, dude, all that club life ain't cool. You need to kind of focus over here and so on and so forth. Then I probably would have if I have a certain level of success, we have a certain level of success, but I probably would have doubled. If we had great, solid mentors. So we know that's important.
It's what I call a solid foundation.
Sure.
It's huge because you can't just you're from Chicago. So a lot of the times we hear that artists cannot break out of their town until they remove themselves from that town. They get big and come back, and it's like, oh man, I knew you in high school. You my cousin. Shit like that.
Yeah. I think that. What
Joe? Am I bullshitting? Come on now.
I mean, we've had a lot of those conversations about that. But I mean, it seems like a lot of our artists that we've had on the show have stated that it was harder for them to get a following in their own home, that they stepped out of their region. So,
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about that now, because in a 2020 world, I mean, with social media, heck, you can get Instagram and even TikTok now. You got people with, 30, 40, 50,000, even a million followers. And
exactly, but they don't know how to funnel it. They don't know how to perfect it.
No, let me tell you something. Some of these folks are they're even making a living off of this. And I mean, if one breakout act that you can look at, and they started in their bedroom, was Billie Eilish.
Yes.
Her brother, come on, think about that.
They broke all
Now, there is a little bit of a slant to the story because her parents worked for Disney and all of that. On the side of her, I mean, they were entertainment people, but Billie Eilish, her and her brother, they were in their bedroom and all that. And I mean, she won 8 Grammys and probably less than
Talking about Billie Eilish?
Eilish.
Yes.
I know. I was like,
hold on. People might be like, English.
Billie Eilish.
You were doing the same thing. I was like, Island? Baby, I'm confused.
You know what? That's why we got Jason, right?
Absolutely.
I will translate.
Keep us on the right track.
Speaking of translating, so we had a question coming in. So if someone doesn't have Amazon Prime, how can they watch The Chicago Way?
You know what?
Should be able to purchase it.
Yeah, if you go on Amazon, it's going to be there. You should be able to go on the website and purchase it. Yeah, and I think it's I think you could even rent it off of Amazon. So just go on the Amazon website and Google Chicago Way.
Well, that was the thing, though. If they don't have Amazon Prime, is there another way to watch it?
Any other place that
you get a physical DVD, or you on Netflix, or?
Yeah, it's. I think Amazon actually allows you to just straight purchase it with a credit card, so I don't think you really need Amazon Prime.
So there's no other place besides
this is saying
Amazon.
In our location.
Right. So if you have Amazon Prime, it's probably free. But if you don't have Amazon Prime,
Amazon Prime is the subscription based, and you get it free. But if you want to just purchase it or even rent it, I believe you can rent it too, right, Joe?
It's saying right now where I'm at, it says my location. This video is unavailable.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was trying to come up with a way to. It might. I mean,
we'll look at that. Actually, okay, yeah, we'll look at that. There's some.
Need to look into that and dropping it other places.
There you go, Stacy Humberger, Carl.
Thanks.
We're gonna
There
look
you go,
into
Stacey.
it. We're gonna get you an answer. We're gonna find a way for you to watch
Get
it.
Stacy's information. We'll get her a free showing for real. Get her.
I
Get her
got Stacy.
information.
I got
Okay.
Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, she's mine.
Appreciate you, Stacy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stacy.
So,
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
thank you so
What is
much.
that, Big Mouth?
Thank you so much for spending an hour with us. My question is, have we not asked a question that you would like to have been asked?
Let me see. Hold on. We're gonna turn the my viewership to y'all.
Oh,
That's Joe right there.
What's up,
See,
everybody?
Joe did that right there. That's Joe's work. You see that
That's
good work,
Joe's
y'all?
work
Look
right
at that.
there.
Look at that. And that's Miranda. We call her Ms. Monday with a Z. Ms.
Yeah.
Monday. And you can't see the guy running the boards.
I just want to know when you're gonna sing that jazz song, whatever jazz song that was that you're singing in that poster. I want to hear that. I want to hear
Making
it.
it look powerful.
yes, it was.
But
Yeah.
it does look like you
there was
tearing up some
positive
stuff.
intent. I see it.
Look,
there was positive intent.
no, so here's the thing. What that was real quick. That was just me outside of a detention center in Chicago hollering at people because they were locking up people in a detention center in Chicago, and it's like CIA type stuff. They would actually pull people off the streets and keep them locked up for 2 or 3 days with no charges. So I was actually hollering at people. So that was the first time that I was actually in Chicago on a major thing.
So that's more sentimental than what you led on to be.
I mean, but you know what?
You know what?
Oh man.
There's dual, even triple.
Wow.
I hope you never holler at me.
No, you're the man. We want
Is there anything else that you would like to get out there?
Well, you know what? No, I'm just happy to be here in Indianapolis, and we're growing extremely. We're growing around the country. Freedom First is, but this Indianapolis piece is really critical, and we want to work with great people. And if anybody's interested in entertainment, because again, the non-for-profit and Freedom First International, that work is going to continue on. There's enough problems in the world, but we want to start training leaders, and we want to help people get their vision out and their voices out. So that's what our focus is for the future, and we want to tell the stories of the underdog.
Absolutely.
Motion pictures, baby.
Yes.
Motion pictures, feature films.
Guys,
that's where we're going.
Make sure you go and follow Gregg, G-R-E-G-G-L Greer, G-R-E-E-R. That is 4 G's in his name. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Thank you so much.
How many G's? How many R's? It's three letters, right? G's, R's, and E's. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, y'all, my name is
Word
really
scramble.
Gregory Greer. It's
I
Gregory
know,
L
but you
Greer,
shortened it.
I shortened it, y'all. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood stuff.
It is Hollywood.
That's reserved for your mom.
Okay.
Gregory L Greer. Get over here.
Joe was already taken, and Jason was taken. So I had to go to the next best.
Dot pro.
Thank you, Dot Pro. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us and our shenanigans.
That went by fast.
Absolutely.
Probably the least shenanigans.
And look at
I
this.
did.
Look at that guy right there, y'all.
I do need you to hang out for just a minute because we're
Okay.
going to do a preview.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just need everyone to remember one thing.
Oh.
Y'all have hated a Monday once or twice in your life. Let
to the
Monday love you.
Let Monday love.
Hold on.
What? Should we let Joe do it?
Come on, Joe.
Joe's got stuff to
He
say.
does.
You know what? Anybody that needs some video work, get a hold of Jason Aaron Pro. I'm telling you, he's amazing. He does pods. He does,
Pods.
He does a lot of different things.
Pods,
Tide
bods,
pods. That's right. He
TVs.
likes biting into those little gooey little Tide things. No, I'm just joking. Jason's amazing. He can get your stuff done. If you need some web work, graphic works, After Effects, motion graphics, anything in between, get a hold of JK Multimedia Productions.
Just kidding.
I am your dude. And Miranda,
He is that guy.
sitting under your porch right now.
Right now.
Watching your children.
I know what you're eating.
Listen to R. Kelly.
Choking raccoons.
That's right.
Choking raccoons. Don't forget about.
Oh my God!
Those poor little raccoons.
Choking raccoons and looking at flyers for Korea.
Oh, y'all don't know that she choked a raccoon, do y'all?
I know where you live.
Yeah, she posted out
She
there
did.
last night.
Guys,
But
thank you so
that's all the
much.
I have nothing for it.
Problem
I have
312
nothing
is
for
taking
it.
us out. Thank
Oh,
you.
boy.
I love you guys.
I love you too, Joe.
Hey, Apostle Evans, we love you, man. We love you.